The the first two things I'd like to say is that one, my feelings are not hurt. So I don't want somebody watching this and thinking, "Oh man, he's really in his feelings, and he decided to make that video because he was hurt and he needed to." No, not, not at all. Second thing that I'd like to say before I continue is I think I've made this exact video before, just maybe slightly differently. So let me tell you why I'm making this. I was going through my comments, and fortunately, I haven't read anything that was racist or sexist or anything that's truly derogatory. It's more of a um, critique of my content creation, which I am more than happy to read, more than happy to respond to. Sometimes I respond to it just via text. I type a little response. I don't think I've actually ignored any comments yet, and I don't delete comments that I can recall. I mean, if something did get obscene, I probably would delete it. But if you're just questioning or critiquing something that I'm saying or something that I've written in response to a comment, hey, it's fair game. But this comment was very, very interesting. And I got to read it to you. And then, I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. And I thought about writing stuff down, but more so after I read it, you'll understand why I felt that I needed to read it, hopefully. So let me begin it. And I will not share this person's name. I mean, the comment's still there. I'm not going to delete it. So if you see it, then yeah, you can, see who wrote it. But let me go ahead and read it. and actually, I should let you know this was a comment. It was left on one of my Asus Zenfone 9 videos. I'll just leave it at that. Why would you put a 26 gigabyte file movie on a phone? Do you have a 80-inch screen on it so you can enjoy the full quality of the 26 gigabyte file? No, you don't. You have a tiny 5.9-inch screen where that 26 gigabyte file movie is being rendered at the same quality as a 1.5 gigabyte file of the same movie. USB 2.0 is enough for transferring documents, pictures, videos, not huge 20 plus gigabyte files or other miscellaneous files. Really, I don't get you, people. Ugh. And that ugh was the emojis of eye rolling. And it's interesting that this individual decided to take the time to type all that. I mean, kudos to them. I mean, I know I'm not usually that dedicated to expressing my disapproval of something that truly does impact my life. But hey, I'm glad that this person decided to actually take the time to write it. Now, just going off of what they've said, okay, let's dissect it. Obviously, no, it's not an 80-inch screen. I mean, yeah, I don't have an 80-inch television. So, in fact, most people don't have 80-inch screens in their home. I mean, I'd guess in 2023, TVs for the most part range from 32 inches to 50 something, whatever, number of additional inches after 50 are in there before you get to 60, would be my guess. Most people don't have 80-inch screens. But yes, the 5.9-inch screen on the Zenfone 9, which is what I'm using right here, is a small screen. Even by cell phone standards, it's a small screen. But when I think about cell phone screens and how far they've come over the years, many manufacturers will rave about the quality of the screen. So we could just have a standard 720p display, which I would bet, in fact, I know for certain that there still are some cheaper phones that have 720p displays. Aren't the greatest, but they get the job done. But if we're talking about full HD displays here, and some, like I think the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV is a 4K display, I believe. Yeah, we are dealing with high quality screens, okay? Whether it's the Zenfone, the Samsung phone, the iPhone, the screens on them are really, really good. So you might just be reading text. You might just be watching YouTube videos. You might be looking at the pictures that you've taken. It's still a good screen. So if a person, namely me, is deciding or choosing to watch uncompressed video on the phone, I should be able to do that. And there's nothing wrong with doing it on a small screen, considering the fact that I would bet money that most people, when consuming any type of content, are using these little guys. So whether it's 5.9 or I think maybe 6.7 or 6.8 at this point, or some of the screens on the larger end, it's still a small screen, but the quality of these screens are really, really good. So that's that, in response to like the size of the screen, whatever. And then he talks about the fact, or this individual talks about the fact that the screen is going to render the video in the same quality that it would render a video file that is only 1.5 gigabytes in size. I will just tell you that is completely false. Because if I were to have that same video file and compress it so that way it's, about a 26th of the file size, not quite a same, let's say, I guess between, if it's a lot smaller, let's just say that. If it's a lot smaller, I can easily tell the difference between a compressed video file and an uncompressed video file, even if I am looking at it on a screen that is this size. So that's just completely false. And I'm interested to hear or see where a person like this has been in this predicament. Like what the situation they've now created is comparing two movie files of, this size and now, maybe this size, but it's the same movie, and saying that, well, it's going to look the same because of the type of screen or the size of screen that you're actually using. Please, yeah, I'd be curious to see exactly what data are you using to reference the statement that you just made. Because for me, completely false, completely false. And then lastly, this individual mentions the fact that USB 2.0 is enough for transferring documents, pictures, and videos, but not huge 20 gigabyte files and other miscellaneous files. So why are you putting that caveat in there? That, okay, documents, cool. USB 2.0 for documents, got it, cool. Pictures, see, and that's that, okay, are we talking pictures that are shot on a phone that came out, I don't know, 10 or let's say 4 years ago? Or maybe a budget camera or a budget phone that was released this year, because some of these high-end phones have 50 megapixel cameras, 100 megapixel cameras. And when you're shooting, I guess the format will be RAW, you are generating relatively large files. And it's one thing if you're transferring a picture at a time. But the moment that you start transferring collections of pictures or folders of pictures, or maybe all of the pictures that you took on a vacation, you, yes, have a bunch of smaller files, but that folder might be several gigabytes in size. So I think a lot of people get hung up on that, is that when I talk about me wanting to transfer one big file, they neglect to see that transferring a bunch of smaller files often, what am I trying to say? Often results in transferring, in the transferring of the same amount of data. 26 gigs, yes, I get, is kind of a lot. And I don't know if I use that exact number when I originally recorded the video, but there's no difference at that point. We're talking one big file or a bunch of little files that equal multiple gigabytes. So I don't see how that would be any different. But then they also say videos. USB 2.0 is good for transferring videos. Very small sizes. Yes, we're talking, yes, stuff shot on maybe your camera phone, and not for very long. Even though, and this is the caveat, which again, it's people picking and choosing, what they choose to complain about. It's a problem if I want to transfer big files to the phone. But if these manufacturers continue to rave about the camera quality and the video recording quality and the picture taking quality, at some point, my guess would be, well, you're going to want to do something with those videos or with those or with those pictures. And yes, you could wirelessly find a way to transfer some of them, maybe, but I mean, I'm trying to make something up there. But the obvious thing to do, in my opinion, if you're trying to get those videos or those pictures off your phone, is to connect a cable to the phone and then to a computer and send it out. So if the camera quality is good, and that's what the device manufacturer made, and now you have these big files sending them from the phone to a computer, is that any different from me wanting to send a big file that I've created on my computer, or maybe using a different camera or whatever, and sending it to the phone? Doesn't quite make sense. Plus, and this is going back to the screen, that if the device manufacturers are raving about the camera quality, you shoot all of these great videos or take all of these great pictures, you're now looking at them on this small screen. So the screen is good. So is that fine though? That the camera that you use, which is on the phone, takes great pictures or records good video, and then you end up with a good image, whether it's still or live on the screen, that's fine. But it's not okay for a person like myself to want to watch high quality video that was not produced by the phone. Like, do you see where I'm getting at here though? That it's just a bunch of BS, that everybody is entitled to their opinion, which is fine. And I would never say somebody's opinion is wrong. But half of this, of what that person isn't even an opinion, it's a statement. And then part of it's an opinion, but I'd say it's an opinion based off of a lack of experience. So I'm pretty sure that's covered everything that this particular person said. But on to my personal feelings, not about this individual, but more so when it comes to accepting the bare minimum. Let's call it that. So USB 2.0 came out in the year 2000. Okay, it is currently 2023, so 23 years ago. And when I made that video, it was actually back in 2022. So let's just go back in time. 22 years ago, USB 2.0 came out. And for 480 megabits at the time was perfectly fine. And the reason that I said what I said before was because I'm not asking for Thunderbolt to be on the bottom of this phone. No, not at all. Do not need a Thunderbolt port right here. But what I did say is that at minimum, USB 3.0, like most phones, would have been greatly appreciated. So as I think about the phones and in fact, before I continue, USB 3.0 came out in 2008. So still a while ago. So we're not even talking about the newest technology. As I said before, no Thunderbolt 3, no Thunderbolt 4, no USB 4. Heck, don't even need the second or I'll just say second or third generation of USB 3. Just 5 gigabits. Perfectly fine. And as I think about the other phones in my possession, I have a Sony Xperia and a Google Pixel 7. Both transfer at USB 3 speeds. I don't know if it's 1 or 3.1, 3. I really don't know. But I know it's not USB 2. So when it comes to somebody in this situation, now going back to that particular person left a comment, which if they were trolling, whatever, don't really care. But I still think it's important information. Why would a person be okay accepting that a component of their phone that they interact with on a daily basis was made 22 years ago when there are successors that are significantly better that don't mean the phone is some type of spectacular, cutting edge, top of the line, whatever. Would a Thunderbolt port on the bottom of a phone be nice? I guess. I mean, I would even say that's a bit of overkill. But USB 3, at the bare minimum, I feel like that should be kind of where we cut off. And who knows what type of phone that person has. But I think a lot of people kind of just sweep it under the rug because the other cow in the room, Apple, still operates at USB 2 on there with their iPhone. And with the new iPhones coming out, it's looking like that's still going to be the case, potentially, especially if you aren't using an Apple USB-C cable. Like, it gets ridiculous. And I don't feel like talking about that. But I would say, to summarize this, I'm not asking or didn't ask for, and nor do I really care about that person's opinion in the way that some might think a person making this video would care. But it's more of a question for that person. Why are you okay with a port that came out, or let's say the logical aspect of that port was released 22 years ago? Why are you okay with that? But then I would bet that if you had you have to say, let's just get rid of a touchscreen. You had just a flip phone in 2023. A lot of people, you also, might be like, well, I kind of like my touchscreen now, so I don't want to go back to a flip phone that isn't a touchscreen. Or if it had Bluetooth, 1 point whatever, I'm sure that was one of the versions of Bluetooth back in the year 2000. Or if, you didn't have stereo speakers. There are a ton of things that have happened between now and the year 2000 that have been kind of a staple in the phone. Hey, let's just remove the front-facing camera of your phone. Hey, let's just get rid of all the cameras because if you're okay with USB 2, you must be okay with other things that were prevalent in the year 2000. So, this isn't a swipe at the individual. It's just more of a for anybody else too who was also okay with accepting the bare minimum. Just realize 22 years ago was a long time ago. So I know I don't approve of it. And heck, I watched just a very brief portion of that video when I was just taking a screenshot of that comment so I could just read it. And in that little snippet, I said was, yes, I don't like USB 2.0, but other than that, the phone is good, which is why I'm still using it. But it just baffles me. I guess that's the only way I can really put it, is that, yeah, it baffles me that, yeah, people pick and choose what is and isn't okay. So the phone is great. I'm still using it. It's my primary phone. And one of the videos I complained about the case, and I ended up getting an aftermarket case, and I absolutely enjoy it. And USB 2, yeah, it's bad. I don't transfer things to and from the phone. And yeah, for that individual, yes, transferring documents, whatever. If that's how you use the phone, that's great. Yeah, great. I'm happy that you would use a phone in that manner. But that's not how I use it. And what I'm asking isn't something that other manufacturers aren't already doing. So, in summary, I've summarized it quite a few times, so no need to continue beating this dead horse. But yeah, I'm thanks for the comment, and yeah, I will, if I need to transfer large files like that, I have other devices that allow me to do it, and that's what I'll do. So again, thanks for the comment, and I think I have to say it again at the end. No, I'm not bothered, not offended. I appreciate people with different opinions. I appreciate dialogue, but I felt like it just didn't make any sense. It really just didn't make any sense. Yeah.